How do you move on after you've lost your sense of purpose? When everything you believed in is suddenly silent. When meaning is lost, the world doesn't just fade, it shatters into fragments. What used to inspire you to get up in the morning now seems distant and alien. People continue to talk, the sun continues to shine, but inside there is an emptiness into which echoes the question, why? At times like this, it's easy to believe that this is the end. But maybe it's not a cliff, but a transition. The loss of meaning is not always the loss of life. It is the loss of the former construct through which we viewed the world. And in that crack, something deeper than former goals and successes can be born. New meaning rarely comes noisily. It doesn't shout. It appears as a whisper in the morning silence, in the care of a loved one, in a simple action that suddenly seems alive. You don't have to hurry to hear it. You have to stay. Not to run away from the pain, but to stand in it. Because it is here, in the shadow of empty hopes, that something real begins to grow, not imposed, not copied, but yours. There are moments in life when everything inside you feels like it's collapsing. You look at your old self with its dreams, goals, aspirations, and suddenly realize you are no longer the same. Things that seemed important suddenly stop touching you. People keep talking about goals, plans, inspiration, but inside there is deafness. Not apathy, not laziness, but the loss of meaningful vector, as if someone turned off the lights and you don't even know where to find the switch. You can still do things, go to work, answer messages, but you live as if in a black and white movie. Everything becomes mechanical. One part of you continues to live, while another part of you asks the silent question, why? It's not the end, it's a twist. It's not the end, it's a turn, like the wind that first cools a heated forehead and then suddenly gives you new wings. Time seems linear, but in fact it is more flexible now. This second, you can decide that only 2 steps have passed, and ahead of you there is the possibility of passing 1,000. I want to understand these thoughts are pulsing in your head like an SOS signal. And that's good, it means that your heart is still able to desire. The main thing is not to freeze this impulse, with fear that nothing will work out. I know how much depression can drag you down, how slowly fatigue rushes through your veins like dark, thick condensed milk, and how hard it is to believe that there is a way out. That's where a support service called Friends comes in. Sometimes a single voice on Messenger can help break the thick veil of problems. The help isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a quiet "I see your tears" or advice from a counselor that works because they listened before they spoke. We often try to be the heroes of our own articles, writing about ourselves and our thoughts or blogging on a website as someone who is flawless, and forget that what shapes us the most is admitting weakness. When we say, "I don't feel good, I don't have the strength, I'm afraid," the brain stops wasting energy on masking, and the freed up energy goes into finding a solution. Every condition has doors. The question is where the doors lead. Try to accept what you're feeling not as the culprit, but as a companion. Fear is sitting there, but your hands are still yours, and you can use them to open a window. Write a couple lines in your journal, do a breathing exercise, call your parents. Exercise. Any action breaks the spell of nothing helps. Sometimes it seems that problems are huge walls, but you only get to measure the distance to them with the first step. To come out from around the corner, where defeat was expected, and suddenly see the wall is a decoration, cardboard. This is often the case with the lack of money, the collapse of relationships, the illness of the body. Until the moment of action, we look at the suffering close-up. It is worth to step back a little. The perspective appears, where you can already see doctors, friends, articles, projects that give a resource. So why did I wait so many years, you ask? Because my head was restrained by the fear of consequences. What if I'm wrong? The inner psyche loves control, but life doesn't tolerate a lot of control. Time will pass, and you will look back with gratitude. Yes, there were mistakes, but they became the way. Does it hurt? Yes, but pain is a professor who teaches experience. He is strict but honest. Every crisis is a fork where you can try to escape or choose to go deeper. I believe that meanings are not invented, but opened like a chest in the dusty attic of childhood. Everyone has their own key. For one, it's reading a good book. For another, it's a conversation with a wise mentor. For another, it's silence in a park at night with only stars and heart. Moments like these rarely look right from a social media perspective, but they are what feed the soulful energy when the news around us is screaming about wars, death, politics, and other heaviness. I'm not promising it will be easy. Change is rarely quick or gentle. Sometimes you'll have to experience loneliness. Sometimes you'll have to call in a professional when your anxiety levels are out of control. All of this is normal. Psychology has long proven asking for support is the right, sensible thing to do. Should we be ashamed? No. After all, the most precious thing is life, and it is finite. So now, at this point, put your hand on your chest and feel the rhythm that made your heart beat back when you first saw the light. It has not changed. There may not be much strength left, but the very fact that it is beating means the resource is available. Think about values: family, love, friendship, faith, creativity, what gives you joy personally. Write about it, share it. Comments from friends sometimes become an extra breath. Dear soul, if it seems to you that all options are exhausted, try to make one more movement. Maybe it will be quite simple: cleaning the house, 10 minutes of yoga, calling a longtime friend. Perhaps it's this humble gesture that will open up the most needed contacts, leading you to a specialist who can help you rebuild your health. Small steps are the rule of long distance. Yes, the world is noisy, crises happen, wars are frightening, but no one can take away your inner light. It will disappear if you close your eyes, but open them and you will see again there is still a place for joy around. Feelings return, pain recedes, and we make the next choice. It's like that every day as long as we breathe. And if you suddenly think that the road has ended, remember the beginning of this text: it is not the end, it is a turn. To live the emptiness is not to run away from it. The most common mistake is trying to drown out the emptiness. Some run away into work, some into entertainment, some into endless self-improvement. But until you agree to be alone with the silence within, you won't hear the voice of truth. New meaning doesn't come through distraction. It is born in the depths of silence. Allow yourself to live this phase, without judgment. No pressure, just as a person who doesn't pretend. Admit that you feel bad right now. Admit that you don't know where to go. That's honesty, and honesty is a foundation on which you can build anew. Small meanings are like the seeds of a big one. When you don't see meaning in everything, don't try to find a global one right away. Look at the tiny meanings: your care for a loved one, your hot tea on a cold morning, a word of encouragement from a friend. Tiny meanings are tiny threads to hold on to. Sometimes they are the very roots of a new tree of life. Don't wait for insight. Look for simplicity. Do something good even if it doesn't feel meaningful. Sometimes meaning only comes after action. First the step, then the light. Meaning is not given, it is revealed. You don't have to make up meaning. You haven't lost if you can't put it into words. Sometimes meaning is not articulated, but felt in how you live your life, how you greet the day, how you choose love where it would be easier to shut down. True meaning doesn't always sound like a loud statement. More often it's as an inner yes to life, no matter what. Your story is not a broken one. If you're reading these lines, you're already walking, even if only by feel. The loss of meaning is not a finality. It's like winter, frozen, hard, but necessary for new growth to sprout in the spring. Don't demand clarity from yourself. Demand only honesty and faithfulness to yourself. Meaning will return not as an old explanation, but as a new breath. You are not broken, you are in the process of unfolding, and that's enough to live on, not because you know why, but because you choose to stay, and that's a start.